Welcome to The Explainer. So if you've ever used a telehealth service, you're definitely going to want to hear this. We're about to dig into Teladoc's latest earnings call to see how this virtual care giant is planning to completely reshape its business and maybe, just maybe, the future of your healthcare.
Right off the bat, CEO Chuck DeVita made one thing crystal clear. Teladoc is done with just being a doctor on demand. They are building something so much bigger. Yeah, this isn't about simple video calls anymore. We're talking about a blueprint to change how healthcare gets delivered, like from the ground up.
So how exactly are they going to pull this off? Well, their whole strategy really rests on these four key pillars. We're going to start with their plan to integrate all kinds of care. Then we'll look at how they're tackling the massive mental health market. And finally, we'll check out their global ambitions. You'll want to stick around because that final piece, that's where it all comes together. Okay, first up, the foundation of their whole argument, the money. Teladoc's strong Q3 results aren't just good news for investors. See, the CEO is pointing to these numbers as, like, proof positive that their big strategic bets are already starting to pay off.
So what's the first big bet? Honestly, it's their most ambitious one. They are trying to completely transform what a virtual doctor's visit even is. The idea here is that they want every single interaction, every call, to become a doorway into deeper, more connected healthcare. And to really get what they're trying to do, you have to understand the sheer scale we're talking about here. Over 100 million people in the US can access their services. Just think about that for a second. That gives Teladoc a massive advantage, a literal treasure trove of data to learn from and innovate with. But what does integrated care actually mean, like in the real world? It means they're not just trying to be a vendor anymore. They want to be a partner. They want to manage care for basically everything, from a common cold all the way to chronic conditions, turning every single time they interact with a patient into a chance to offer smarter, more connected support.
Okay, so this is basically their three-part game plan. First, they want to make every visit smarter using their Prism platform to help doctors spot potential health gaps. Second, engage patients earlier with tools like at-home screenings from their Catapult acquisition. And third, use AI to proactively identify and help the chronic care patients who are most at risk.
Now, this is absolutely crucial. Teladoc is leaning into a major industry shift. They're moving away from those flat subscription models and toward more of a fee-for-service approach. And look at this. Visit-based revenue now makes up over half of their US business. That's a huge jump from just a couple of years ago.
Next up, we have to talk about their mental health powerhouse, BetterHelp. They're not just letting it run on autopilot, they're basically performing major surgery on its business model to unlock a completely new phase of growth.
And this slide lays out the pivot perfectly. So before, it was all about consumers in the US paying cash right out of their pocket. But the new plan? It attacks on two fronts, finally embracing insurance payments here in the States, while also pushing that original cash pay model into new countries overseas.
And get this, they're not just talking a big game, they are actually doing it step by step. It all started with the strategic acquisition of a company called Uplift to get the right technology. Within just 60 days, they launched a pilot in Virginia. And now, they're already live in 7 states and DC, with a full national rollout on the horizon.
You know, the CEO was really blunt about this. He said, "This isn't some experiment, it's a necessity." The market for direct-to-consumer, cash-pay services is getting a lot tougher. So for BetterHelp to keep growing, this big pivot to insurance and global markets, well, it's pretty much non-negotiable.
All right, there's third pillar. It's really all about balance. While they're out there planting flags and expanding aggressively overseas, they're also getting their own house in order, with this laser focus on just being more efficient. And you can see why. Their global business is already a huge growth engine. We're talking double-digit growth. And they recently made another acquisition down in Australia to get deeper into the public health sector there.
And all that internal focus? Well, it's really starting to pay off. So they've earned a major quality certification, their client satisfaction scores are climbing, and they're trimming the fat everywhere, from their tech stack to administrative costs. It really is all about building a leaner, more effective machine.
Okay, so we've seen all these different pillars: integrated care, mental health, global expansion. So how does it all fit together? Let's connect this entire strategy to Teladoc's ultimate vision for where healthcare is going.
You know, this whole detailed blueprint, it's not just about Teladoc's plans, right? It really raises a much bigger question for all of us. Where is this entire industry headed next?
And look, this is the ultimate takeaway. Teladoc isn't just presenting a business plan, they're basically claiming to have the answer to healthcare's biggest problems, things like cost, access, and quality. They believe this blueprint positions them to lead the next great evolution of care. The real question now is the rest of the industry going to follow their lead?